Hi everyone, this is Rion Paper. I hope you're doing well. It is finally September, and as a lover of all things autumn and just, the R months, I suppose, in general, just like from September to the end of the year is like my part of the year. I could not be happier about that. It is time for my currently inked for this month, and I have been looking forward to inking up these specific pens with these specific inks for months because I came up with a specific set of pens and inks around a specific theme, I think around April or May or something like that, and it just felt like it was perfect for September and it just had to wait. And now it's finally time. I finally inked up these pens. So the theme that I'm going for this month is Autumn in Paris. So not very strictly, but I've just picked a couple pens or inks or colors that somehow reminded me of either France or Paris in specific, and fall as well. So I think actually for the pens, that is not so much the case. The pens are just the pens that worked the best in my opinion with these specific inks. But in terms of the inks, there's definitely some French fall theme stuff going on. So let's get into it. I'm just going to move these over. So I have 7 inks this month. That just about fits on the page. Last month I did 6, but 7 should work. And that's mostly just because I really couldn't choose. So I've chosen not to ink these up completely. So most of the converters are half full or something like that. For the TWSBI Eco, that is only not even a third. But I can always put in more ink, but I don't really want to waste the ink if I don't finish writing it, if I don't write the pen dry in 1 month. So we have 3 of the iconic Serra inks. I feel like you cannot really have a Parisian theme without Serra inks. 2 samples that I really wanted to try, and then some other stuff going on as well. So let's get into it. So the first pen and ink combination is this Delta Spaccanapoli in Palazzo Serra Cassano with the extra fine nib. And what I put in there is this Serra. It's from the Paris collection, and this is the Brun Eiffel, or Eiffel Tower brown, which is a lovely sort of almost rusty brown, yellowy brown color. It's a really pretty ink. So wait, let's actually first write the name of the pen before I smudge the swatch. And this combination writes so lovely. It's just the right amount of wetness that the flow is great, but it doesn't just gush onto the paper. And the ink is just beautiful. There's a lot actually going on in terms of the specific shade of the ink. I think like it's a brown, but there's definitely also something yellow going on. There is something red going on, something orange. It's a very warm color, and I think it's just perfect for autumn. It's like somewhere in between autumn oak, like Diamond autumn oak and Diamond Three Kings, and then something a little browner than that. So yeah, that is the Delta Spaccanapoli Palazzo Serra Cassano with the Jayabin Brun Eiffel. The next pen and ink combination that we have is this lovely Pilot Prera in slate gray with the fine nib, and in that I put another ink from the Gerber Paris collection, which is called Gris Toit or Les Toits de Paris, so like the roofs of Paris. All of these inks somehow have two names. I don't really know why. But yeah, so I put the rooftop gray in this one, and it is a gray in like, it's called a gray, but I've actually cataloged this with my blue inks, and you'll definitely see why. It's a very, very either grayish blue or bluish gray, but it's definitely on that in that area. And this one, even though this is a fine nib and the delta is an extra fine, this one actually writes finer, both because this is like a Japanese fine, so this is a bit of a finer nib actually, but also because this ink is a little drier than the other one. And this is definitely a me ink. I love this color family so much. It's moody, it's a great shader, it's just all around a beautiful ink. And I think these two actually go really well together. So yeah, that is the Gerber Gris Toit in the Pilot Prera in slate gray. And then I was thinking, I really want a green as well, just for writing diversity, but I couldn't really think of a green ink that had like more of an autumn green color. That's like a bit more, muddy and murky green. That also fit that theme of Paris. I have a lot of those inks, but nothing really like fit into the color palette. So then I thought Robert Oster Muddy Grass. So like in front of the Eiffel Tower, there's this like big field, and like it's a field with grass. Yeah, I thought muddy grass. Why not? That sounds like autumn. And I put that in my Tibaldi Bononia in Martini Olive with the extra fine nib. This one has a very wet, like it's quite a wet pen. So I've never had any flow issues with this pen. The ink has great flow as well. And it's a perfect green color for fall. Really beautiful. And just look at how well it fits the color of the pen with all its different shades of olive and green and sort of brown and yellow. And the next pen and ink combination is my Leonardo Furore in white salt, also with an extra fine nib. Except for the very fine writing Pilot Prera, all of the nibs are extra fine. So no surprises there. And in this one, I put the Gerber Rouille d'encre, or Rusty Anchor. So the name doesn't really remind me that much of Paris or of fall, except the fact, that it's a French name, obviously. But I do think it's a very French color, which maybe, I don't know, it's just some weird connection in my head. But this sort of shade of dusty pink always reminds me of Paris. And I do think it's a great color for autumn. It's a very warm color, almost nostalgic maybe. It's beautiful. I like it a lot. So I put that in this one. And I may actually try swapping this nib. I have a fine nib for the Leonardo pens as well. And I might switch this one because this is quite a dry ink, and this combination actually writes. It writes, but it could have been the flow could have been better. And I'm wondering if maybe with a fine nib that'll be better. You know what? Actually, this writes quite well now. I think that maybe the feed just needed to soak up some more of the ink and just get a bit more saturated with ink, because it writes fine now. So that is the Leonardo Furore in white salt with Gerber Rouille d'encre. The next pen and ink combination is my TWSBI Eco in white with Diamine Chopin. So Chopin is a Polish composer, was a Polish composer, but he moved to France, to Paris. So I thought that fitting. And I think that this is a dark, desaturated or unsaturated blue, almost a blue-black. And I thought that went well with the imagery of the Serra River in autumn, just being all dark and moody. And that gave a little more diversity to the color palette, just incorporating some darker colors as well. And I love writing with this TWSBI Eco, but it is really, really wet. It feels great on the page, but try writing really small with that. we go. Then we have two more pen and ink combinations. So this was the TWSBI Eco in white with Diamine Chopin. And then we have two Jinhao pens. The first one being this Jinhao X159 in wine red with the gold trim. And I inked this up with Baroque Bordeaux. So Baroque is, I think it's a German ink brand. But I was thinking, you know what? France, Paris, that goes hand in hand with a glass of wine. So I figured a wine red pen with a Bordeaux red ink would be the perfect combination. And also a great way to incorporate some red into the color palette, which always goes really great with autumn. So that is Baroque Bordeaux in the Jinhao Wine Red X159. I love this ink. It is such a beautiful color. It has such great flow. I am really enjoying the Baroque inks, and this is definitely going on my wish list for a full bottle at some point. Wait, I still need to do the swatch. Hold on. So like I said, you cannot have, in my opinion, a Paris-themed color palette without something referring to wine. But, you know, sometimes it is just too early for wine. And in that case, we drink a coffee. So the last pen and ink combination is KWZ It Smells Like Coffee, which is a scented ink that does kind of smell like coffee, but it smells really sweet. So it's more like, I don't know, iced coffee, coffee ice cream, something like that. And I put that in the Jinhao 82 in the coffee colorway. So that's 2 times coffee in one pen and ink combination. Yeah, this one smells quite strongly, but I do really like it actually. And now let's do a little swatch. And I found that while the ink smells quite strongly when it's wet and when you're writing with it, this scent really dissipates quite fast. So when this is completely dry, it'll be almost gone. Which is fine, you know, I don't really care about the scent lingering on the page. It's just fun to smell something that you enjoy while writing. So yeah, that is the Jinhao 82 in coffee with KWZ It Smells Like Coffee. Great combination. And these 2 Jinhao pens I've actually been really lucky with because the nibs are amazing. They write super smoothly which is not always the case for all Jinhao pens. I've definitely had some, especially one of the 82 pens that is super scratchy and that has terrible flow and that I just haven't really been able to fix. But these do write just perfectly straight out of the box. Well, they didn't come in a box, but you get what I mean. And that's it. That's the color palette for the month. Autumn in Paris. I am really, really happy with how this color palette came together. There were some pen and inks that I knew from the beginning that I wanted to incorporate. And then I just, picked some that would complement those inks and that would just complete the color palette. And I think that what I've ended up with is quite autumny looking, great fit for September. And I'm really, really looking forward to using these pens all month long. And I'm sure there will be some combinations that I've come to enjoy so much that I'll ink them up again together in the future, which is always really fun. So thank you for watching. I'm really curious to hear what colors you associate with the month of September. If there's a pen and ink combination that you would have absolutely included in a Paris-themed lineup, be sure to let me know in the comments. And for now, enjoy the rest of your day and hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.